like to open the PBD Planning Board meeting agenda for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021, held at 7 p.m. on a virtual platform, Zoom. This meeting pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. This will be broadcast and held on Zoom by PBD Access TV. First order of business usually is the approval of meeting minutes of May 20th, but this will be moved to the next available meeting. They were not ready for this, printed and distributed for this meeting. Section B, A&R and Land Court, 56 Harris Street, map 76, lot 47 and 48A. Anybody here to present?
Mr. Chairman, Jose Silva, the applicant. I've just unmuted his mic, so he should be coming in now. Just have to unmute yourself, Jose.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good evening.
Just before you start, Jose, for everybody, I'm going to share my screen, which will have the map of what you submitted.
Yep.
Pull it up. Are we all looking at the map?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right, Jose, if you want to begin, it's on you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jose Silva. I live at 43 North Shore Ave in Danvers. I own the property at 56 Harris and 0, which is the lot next door. I would like to, the reason for being up before the planning board is I would like to throw a duplex on the property next door, which is 7,400 or 7,393 square feet or somewhere in that area. And I understand I need 7,500 for a 2-family. Owning the property or the lot on 56, where the lot is already non-conforming, I thought I would go with keeping one non-conforming lot and taking a small wedge out of that property and making the other lot 0 7,500 square feet, which would be conforming to the R2, which is what I think I would need. I don't know what else to tell you, but that's what I would like to do, and that's what I kind of have there on the plan.
Any questions from the board?
Is it?
Yes.
I have any questions from the board?
Yes.
I have one. Mr. Chairman? Through
Yes.
the chair. Question to the applicant. Have you
Yes,
had
sir.
any legal advice in connection with your proposal to take a small piece out of lot 1B and add it to lot 1C?
Have I had, I just thought because that lot 1B was already non-conforming with an existing structure on it, I could keep one lot size non-conforming and make the other one the 7,500 square feet. I thought that would have been the practical way to do it.
Yeah, I think that it's possible that by taking a piece from lot 1B,
Yes,
you're creating a new lot, which may have to conform unless you get a variance.
a new lot on 1B, you mean?
1B becomes a new lot because it's got a different shape. If you take that triangular piece away from it.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I asked if you had any legal advice, because
I did not.
yeah, I think you're creating a new lot, and when you do, you have a nonconformity that's not already pre-existing. Because now you're reducing the square footage of lot 1B further, and you might need a variance to keep things status quo. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just suggesting that you might want to check that out.
So which way would be you're suggesting to leave lot 1C as also a non-conforming lot?
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just
Oh,
saying that you may be creating a further nonconformity with 1B if you borrow from it. No, actually, you're not borrowing, you're taking it away.
I'm taking right. I don't know which way is the better way to go with it.
If I may offer a suggestion, I would suggest that the petitioner contact the building commissioner and see his opinion, and if need be, you could go before the ZBA. And then.
Get a variance for lot 1C.
The building commissioner may or may not say you have to go before the ZBA. I can't speak for him, but
Okay,
he would certainly have more knowledge on that.
so I should approach him first and find out whether I should be taking that little wedge out of 1B and adding it onto 1C, or just keep 1B as it is and go with the 1C as the 7,300 non-conforming.
And it may be you get a variance for that, but he's probably the guy to start your little Q&A with.
Okay,
Yeah, Mr. Silva, my apologies. I don't know if you let me know that you're building a duplex or not, but I would say exactly like Mr. Ford just said, because if you create a non-conforming lot B, it would have to be put on the plan that this is a non-conforming lot now, and that you would have to see, getting a building permit for anything on that lot would then be not difficult, but then you would have to go in front of the zoning board of appeals.
lot B already has a structure on it. That's why I will ask the building commissioner. That would be easier for me at this point.
The course you follow might be a variance for lot 1C. But again, touch base with him. And Mr. Chairman, I would move that we table this until the next meeting or the second meeting, until we
Can I
get.
ask a question, please?
Yes,
This is to Mr. Silva, if you don't mind.
Yes, right.
Is the home that's on lot 1B a single family or a two family?
It's a two-family.
Okay, thank you. Then I would agree with what the advice you've been given tonight.
Mr.
Thank
Thank
Chairman,
you.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment to the petitioner?
yes, Mr. Gagnon.
So it sounds like you have to go before the Board of Appeals for a variance. And it seems to me the easiest variance to try to get would just to leave things alone and just ask for a variance for lot C, 1C for the lot area. If you go for a variance on the other, then you got side yard, rear yard, front yard, lot area, you got all kinds of stuff. So I think my observation is if you have to go for a variance, I just, I think the simplest way would be to just go for that lot area variance. You're just asking for one variance for 100 square feet.
Right.
That would probably be the simplest way. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
do we have the ability to table such a plan? I thought we had 21 days to act and that was that.
I believe you're correct. You'd have to come back to us within that time frame.
Drew, when was the plan
Or
filed?
he'd have to withdraw and then resubmit.
The plan was submitted. It was submitted back. I have the timestamp.
The date on the plan is the 11th of May. That's the date on the plan.
But it's timestamped in the city clerk's office.
It is, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, no, that's the,
You have
the
the
state seal.
hard copy in front of you, but I'm pulling it up now.
The reason I asked about the single family or the two family is because if that existing home was a one family, all they need is 5,000 square feet.
Right.
May 19th.
The 19th is correct.
So basically, the best bet would have the petitioner withdraw and resubmit. Is that correct, Andrew?
If the applicant wishes, yeah, they're more than welcome to withdraw the application because it sounds like they want to go a different route.
I would be in favor of waiving the filing fee on the second application.
I would be in favor of that also.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Mr. Silva, would you wish to have us vote on your request to withdraw?
I would like to withdraw at this point, and I will bring up to the building commissioner, and then I will refile whatever I have to do or whatever way I get advice to go with it. And I do appreciate the waiving of the fee. That would be great.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, I would move to allow the petitioner Jose Silva to withdraw his plan without prejudice.
We have a
Second.
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 Diane Cooper, all those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
For the
Unan-
record, everybody has raised their hand.
Thank you, Mr. Silva.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Mr. Silva,
Yes, sir.
I would reach out to Al Talarico, the building commissioner.
Yes.
He should be in the office tomorrow if you just give the building department a call.
Okay, I appreciate the information. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.
Have a great night.
You too.
Site building permit plan reviews, none. Appointments, none. Subdivision board action, Boulderwood subdivision approved on 2012. Request for acceptance is continued to January 7th of 2021. Continue from. Have we got any action on this yet?
I've still yet to receive a memo from the Department of Public Services regarding it.
Could we send them another letter? The board's requesting that action?
Yeah, I can send another memo.
Thank you. Proposed Stonegate subdivision action continued to June 24th, 2021. Correspondence, any on regional correspondence? None. Then other matters properly before the board, a discussion on meeting moving forward.
Yep, as everyone may know, certain boards in the city have been starting to move back to public or move back in person. City Hall has been open to the public since April 7th. And with the state's new mask guidelines and capacity guidelines, I wanted in June 15th, actually the state of emergency ends, but as Peter kind of mentioned, that it looks like legislation is being put through that could potentially put it on the city and towns about virtual participation for meetings. But I wanted to get the board's thoughts on meetings moving forward and if they would be open to staying via Zoom or moving back in person. I will say that we would not be meeting in the lower level conference room. I think that's just too tight of an area and it's tiny. So the meetings would be happening at City Hall, but in the Wigan Auditorium.
Any comments from the board?
I have a question.
Board, I'm sorry.
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Ford.
Peter. I'll defer to Peter.
Drew, if a member of the audience, a Peabody resident interested party wants to comment when, will they have a little window and can they be seen? And
Are you talking about if they're on Zoom?
yeah, what I'm really driving at is there some kind of functional equivalent to being there where you can actually see the person?
So how the city, so if we had it in person, then the public would also be able to attend. But we would also, I believe the city council is also doing, so in the Wigan, they have a drop-down screen that has a projector. And I believe that someone has, you can still run the meeting on Zoom because it's being run. I'd have to talk with PAT and maybe I'd talk with Allison as well. But you can still have Zoom participation. So when the city council they had some budget they had meetings the other week and they had people come in that were able to enter the meeting via Zoom while everybody else was in person.
Yeah, there's always a benefit to being there, being seen, looking at somebody's body language. It's part of the whole thing. And to me, if that could be accomplished via Zoom, then I would be in favor of continuing remote because get more participation, and it's really the equivalent of being there because you've got your video screen with the neighbor or whoever it is that's there, or the person objecting or in favor, and you can see them. The people watching can see them. So it's a little bit different than a voice, with a name.
So just because of how we run the Zoom meetings, it doesn't allow attendees to have an image your video shown. But that's just because of how we have to run the meetings.
We've had applicants, Jack Kelty sitting with his clients and we see them on the screen.
So we could promote them to panelists. So the idea is that to protect against any malicious acts on Zoom, we run these via webinar, which means that only the board members get meeting invites, and then everybody else enters through the attendee, because that means that they can't unmute themselves or share their screens or do anything maliciously while we're having a meeting. I don't know why Zoom doesn't allow you when you mute. I think it's because they're nervous that you could be one of like 100 people in there, and that if you show their screen, they could show they're unvetted technically, so they could do something that's kind of protecting us. But I do understand what you're saying, and I mean, no, I know it's kind of difficult, but yeah, unfortunately, I'd have to look into it a little bit more to figure out if we could get that.
Yeah, I just anticipate that's going to be an objection to continuing remote by people making that decision.
Dr. Otto?
In my version of Zoom, which is owned by Framingham State University, or at least, licensed, the moderator or the co-host or host has the ability always to mute both video and audio from any person who's participating in the meeting. So you can't stop them from being there, but you can shut them down really quickly if somebody's out of line. I realize that's got its own set of First Amendment issues, but certainly a malicious person stepping in could be rejected.
So yeah, I mean, I have that ability right now, but for some reason, because you guys are panelists, I could do that to all of you as well, and I can mute any person like the attendee that we let in, but we do the panelist because the idea is that if you do a meeting, even though I can unmute you, or I can mute everybody, like you can unmute yourself. It's the idea of using the panelist is it protects against like 1,000 people joining a meeting all at once and unmuting themselves or taking over a meeting. Which is then, like, for instance, it happened with the ZBA where 30 plus people joined the meeting at the same time and all raised their hands to speak, and they were thinking, the ZBA thinking it was members of the public wishing to speak on something. As soon as they were unmuted, started saying terrible things, or door just shut, telling terrible things, or playing loud music, and so every single person had to be muted, then unmuted, then muted, then unmuted. But again, I can look into further, see how other communities. I mean, this is all kind of just recently happened, the June 15th deadline. So I was going to plan on reaching out to a few other communities and see how they're handling it and what their ideas are on it.
Yes, Dr. Otto.
I guess I'm of two minds about this, and that's why I'm wondering about a sort of hybrid solution that incorporates the best of both circumstances. I think with Peter that it's extremely valuable to see the whole person, and that means all of you to me, so for me to be in a room with you all, and also the applicants to be there too, and any members of the public who choose to be in person. But I also love the flexibility of Zoom in terms of reaching out to people in the community who might not be inclined to circle City Hall a few times looking for a parking space on a busy night. I think it offers something else that is a weird sort of artifact of the pandemic that is valuable to the community.
And I think they are doing hybrid meetings right now with the city council.
Roy, do you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Tom. Yeah, I'm a bit divided as well. However, what I find is that the presenters with the drawings, this is very clunky. It's not good. Sometimes the presenters they're having a hard time shuffling through drawings. If Drew is showing the drawings, then they're talking about one thing and you might be zooming up on something different. So you need to almost be a mind reader as to what part of the drawing he's talking about so that you can zoom up that. That's what I find very difficult to grasp. And usually what I'm doing is I'm opening up a second computer right next to this one and looking at the drawings that you've sent in the package. But now I've got to be the mind reader as to what the presenter's talking about instead of you, Drew. And in comparison to the way we used to have it, where the presenter would bring an easel, he'd put a board up, he'd put drawings that were attached to stiff boards, and he would have a laser pointer and or a conventional stick pointer, and he would show us exactly, when we ask a question about something, he would point exactly to it. That's the part that I have trouble with. I'm kind of okay with this. I mean, it saved me on a busy night, it saved me maybe a 35-minute round trip to get to Peabody Square. So, and I'm okay with the extra participation part as well. The drawings fall short dramatically, in my opinion. Thanks.
Mr. Gagnon.
I mean, my first preference would be to have in-person meetings. I think there's nothing that can substitute that. And just like Roy, I mean, I got my iPad here, and I'm looking at plans on this while I'm looking at the screen here. And it's, you know, it's a little different, but you know, I'm okay with Zoom too, if that's what everybody's going to end up doing. And it sounds like that's could be the wave of the future. The only thing I would ask is that, you know, before, even when we were in person, we'd get a nice package, you know, a few days before, and we had nice, huge plans that we could open up. If you're going to Zoom, my preference is, you know, I know it's on the computer, but I got to kind of open it up so I can see it more clearly. Send me the plans. Give, you know, spend $2 on mail and send me the big plans. So then I got my computer here and I got the plan in front of me, and I can, instead of me going like this, you know, trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to listen. That would be my only request. Send me the plans. I don't know how other people feel, but I would just love to have the big plans. I'm getting old. I need the glasses. I get, you know.
We can send the plans again. I just was not sending them due to COVID, but if people want the big packets again, I can more than happy to start sending them out again.
I have a dumb question. Is it possible to have like a secondary at the same time where all of the participants join into a group and you can see them all, and then when they raise their hand to talk, you can click over to them? So basically you have two meetings going at the same time?
The only thing I can see that would potentially violate open meeting law, because the idea is that, so you guys all get special invites to the meeting. So
They would get an invite to the meeting by the documents you put out to invite them to the meeting.
no, unfortunately that doesn't, because I have to send it to you specifically. So looks like there's someone from the public here that's raising their hand wishing to speak. Mr. Chairman.
That's fine. You can, if he identifies himself, it's okay for him to speak, or her.
Hey, yo, what's up, guys? I got a big cock, you know.
There you go. There you
There you
go.
go.
Just let me put my 2 cents in. I'm 100% in favor of going back to real live in-person meetings. It's just a much smoother operation. We do allow the public into our meetings if they want to. Will we still be on PBD cable TV, Drew, in the future, or what?
Yes, we will.
People can take in the meeting there. If they do have an issue in the neighborhood or the neighbor, they can come down and attend the meeting. I'm all for going back to real meetings.
I kind of like, Mr. Chairman, I kind of like the Zoom, but I do understand that as a practical matter, it may be easier if we go back to the in-person meetings. There is a way that I think we can share screens with the plans that might make it easier. I've been fooling around with it myself on Zoom, but something that I'd have to look up. But I think we could probably make the the plan process on Zoom a little bit better and more efficient. But I do hear what everyone else is saying about going back in person, and it may be the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, if we end up in person, which we may or may not, but I guess it's a foregone conclusion that if we do go in person, it's going to be in the Wigan auditorium. Maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, there's going to be a conflict with that room, and we're going to end up on Thursday night with a conflict with the city council, because they have certain special meetings that they do, budget sessions, they do subcommittee meetings, stuff like that. So, because remember when we were talking about this maybe 2 years ago about cameras and being broadcast on PATV, that was one of the issues, because every now and then there's a Thursday night conflict.
Which I can, yeah, I mean, unfortunately there is the conflict. So I can, like we said, I can look into a few different, options. I know John Ford and I previously talked about potentially the schools, so maybe doing it at the Higgins, but I'd have to figure that out. The conflicts were really when there was special meetings for the city council, but yeah, I think there's a lot of moving parts to all of this, and I wanted just to get people's thoughts. If they want to move forward to going back into person, then I would start putting these pieces into play and putting them together to try to see what we can do to have them in person, which I would be working with Allison from the clerk's office and the city council to make sure that we wouldn't match up on the same dates. But it sounds like people want to move back in person, and if that's the case, then I will hit the ground running with figuring out how that works. That might.
Can we do a show of hands? That way you know for sure.
I have a question first before you do that.
Mr. Gagnon.
So would it be possible to have both? Like if half the people want to show up in person, but some people can't make it for whatever reason, that they can be on Zoom? Is that a possibility where we, like say?
Yeah, that's yeah, I planned on having that. So if you didn't want to be, so the meeting is going to be run in person, and then I'll have to talk to Allison how they run it, but I think, and I can talk with Josiah and Jim Palmer at PAT, but I believe they use the cameras to then broadcast out your images. But if somebody from the public or if a planning board member wanted to join in, there's a drop down screen in the Wigan that they would come up on and through speakers, and so then they could speak.
I thought I heard something on a city council meeting that if they're bringing because right now I think the councilors come into the room and sit and have their meetings, but I don't think if a councilor is in Utah at a conference that he can dial in on Zoom and be counted as a participant in that meeting. I think it's the city council is in session in public in the Wigan. I believe that's how that all shook out. And the Zoom is for abutters and people who want to make a comment at a public hearing. I think that's the hybrid portion is how I interpret it. I could be wrong, but that's my interpretation.
Question.
This is Mr. Abernathy.
Why do we have to meet on Thursdays? Because what Roy says is correct, and Drew, you can confirm this. The city council has committees that meet sometimes 6:30, 7 o'clock on Thursdays before the regular meeting. Happens, it's not infrequent.
I know it's in your bylaws, but I guess I'd have to look into what kind of motion or how that would be done to change.
Was that something that was in the bylaws that we just went through and revised?
I believe it's every Thursday, first and third Thursday of the month.
We would do the same thing we just did. If we
That's
wanted,
it.
if there's a
The
consensus.
only day of the week that I don't think anybody meets is Wednesdays.
Concom is Wednesdays,
Right.
right?
Or Concom, sorry.
Tuesdays might
third
be
Wednesday.
free.
Tuesdays, sorry, that's it. Yes.
Well, I have a solution. We're just gonna need our own studio.
It
Uh,
seems incredible in this day and age that, especially after we've been doing this now for 15 months, that we haven't, and by we, I mean the city, looking at technological solutions, fit up schools, fit up the library, fit up DPS, senior center, all these kind of places where meetings could be had in a way that meets all of our objectives.
the school does the school committee meets at the school.
At
the-
Higgins, yeah.
Yeah, at the Higgins they meet. So I can reach out to the school system and the mayor and see if that's a possibility, and if that could be the case, we could maybe do that.
Is
think-
there any way to set up the public works building for,
That's out of my hands. If that,
I mean, if we ask the mayor, you know, a little bit of a budget to set that up, so their access capable.
I can inquire, but I mean, I can inquire about that. We can see.
Because they had plenty of parking, never had a problem there, plenty of room.
DPS facility was the best setup for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It was definitely.
Yep. Reasonably centrally located, highway access, all that stuff. Keeps you away from PB Square.
Is the city in line to receive a portion of that $5.3 billion that the governor has in the bank right now?
I believe so.
Maybe that could be a source of.
I think that money though, I think they're trying to figure out how to spend that money.
PB's going to get some, and you know, it sounds like a windfall to me, and it might be the resources needed to outfit the public services building.
We can inquire about it. I can inquire. I can see if that's the case, if that can be done. But I would say not before the next meeting. But I guess just before I start putting everything forward, does the planning board wish to meet on June? I forget. Is it June 21st or June
17th?
17th? Sorry, June 17th. Does the board wish to meet June 17th in public, in person?
No.
I will be at Leahy in the hospital for an operation on the 17th.
Oh,
I mean,
I hope everything's okay.
I think we need a better plan before we do that myself.
Yeah.
I just so that at least I understand this, and maybe other people who are a little confused. It seems as though we got two issues here on the table, and they're interconnected in a way. So one issue is, do we want to go back in person in a common room as a board? Yes, no, right? The second question is, if the answer is yes, that's what leads Drew to public services or the Higgins, right? You don't need to inquire about public services or the Higgins if the answer to the first question is no, right? Is that right, Peter? Is that how you?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right. So do we want to do just a quick show of hands to see that we are in favor of meeting in public in a common room? Yes?
I'm good with that.
We started that before.
I am
Okay.
too, with the caveat that maybe we can do a little better for
Right.
housebound people than.
Right.
we have
So,
done.
okay,
Yeah.
so that part's unanimous, so then it opens it up to you, Drew, to not be spinning your wheels, wasting your time.
That's why I wanted to have this meeting to discuss if we wanted to move forward or not. Now that I know that we want to move forward with going back in person, then I will start and maybe the next. So if we don't want to meet, so we meet on Zoom again for the 17th. I can come with a plan on what we have the July break. With what the next meeting after the June meeting could look like if we met in person, and I'll have a better idea of that, and we can discuss.
Yeah, and if I think there's a couple issues too, because they may have to keep somebody at public services and or the Higgins after hours to keep a building that is normally not open.
Yeah, I can inquire about both those buildings. I know that they have a system set up right now for protocol with the Wigan. I know that that's they already have that set up, so it might be in the Wigan the first meeting, before we can maybe potentially move to a different building, but the protocol's already set up for the Wigan.
Okay, so Drew, you look.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Any other matters before the board? This time I'll accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move to adjourn.
We have a
Second.
second. Dr. Otto, all those in favor?
All right. Unanimous.
Dennis,
Thank
I'll
you.
call you tomorrow, Dennis.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Okay?
Have a good night.
Good night.